Hello everyone, welcome to a new comic book haul. I know it's been quite a while since I last uploaded. I've just kind of been procrastinating and sitting around not really putting the effort in all honesty, but this is a haul from a while ago. I went to the McKay's, which if you have watched the channel, you know it's like a used bookstore and media place that they have a lot of comics for super cheap and very wide selection. It's always changing. I don't know why people sell their comics to them for what has to be pennies on the dollar, but you can find really, really good deals there. And this particular McKay's was one in Nashville. Me and my family and my girlfriend all went to go to ICE, which is like this experience in the Gaylord Opryland Hotel, and it's just a lot of ice carvings. The theme changes each year. They have a giant ice slide. It's really cool. But obviously, knowing that they had a McKay's down there, I had to drag my girlfriend out to it. And they had a much wider selection than the one in Chattanooga normally has. So I spent several hours in there. I think my girlfriend took a nap out in the car because we had a long day and she was tired. And that just gave me the opportunity to let her nap and pick through most of everything. If she hadn't she didn't wake up, I probably would have been in there longer. But regardless, here's what I got for you today. First, we got Annihilation number 6 of 6, written by Keith Giffen, art by Gabriele Dell'Otto. Annihilation is this big cosmic event that I've been meaning to read. I really want to read it. Annihilus, I believe, is like the spearhead bad guy of, or he's the bad guy that spearheads this event into Marvel canon. I've heard really great things about this event. I've tried to get all the, it's one of the only events where I see the tie-in books, and I'm like, every tie-in is about a very niche character that I think is really cool. So I've been trying my damnedest to collect as many tie-ins in the actual series as I can. I know it's about the Annihilation Wave, and I almost have every issue, so this was a nice piece to pick up. We got Nova on the cover, who just got done vaping through his suit. That's what happens when you do that. Next, more Annihilation, but this time it's Annihilation Super Scroll number 1. Like I said, it's another one of those where super niche character, but very cosmic. A lot of this is I know it's a big cosmic event. I think some land superheroes were involved, but I can't be certain on that. I know Nova comes back in Nova Volume 4 by Dan Abnett, and it's kind of, this happens during Civil War, I'm pretty sure. So a lot of the space characters around that time come back when Civil War's ended, and there's like the superhero mandate, and they're like, what's going on? What are all these new rules? And no one helped us with Annihilation. What was up with that? We kind of saved the universe, and y'all were kind of fighting each other. But this one involves, this particular tie-in involves Super Skrull, who is a really cool character. It's written by Javier Grillo Marzoc, and art by Gabriele Dell'Otto. So the same artist as the Annihilation book. Paid $1.50 for this one. Lately I've been being more lenient with what I pay more than $1 for. If I really want it or barely see it, which I barely do with these Super Skrull Annihilation books, especially a number 1 like this, I try not to pass up on it. Really cool find. I'm glad I found it. Really cool cover too. Next, Black Panther, Volume 4, number 26. Let me fix this for y'all real quick. Okay. Written by Reginald Hudlin, art by Francis Portela. I don't know much about that creative team, but for these several issues I'm about to show you, spoiler alert, number 26 and 27 I paid 50 cents for, and number 28 through 30 I paid 90 cents for. So Black Panther is a character that I've been wanting to know more. The Ultimate Black Panther run by Brian Hill, and I don't know the artist, has been phenomenal. I have really been digging all the Ultimate stuff they've been doing, but that series has really made me wanted to start reading more Black Panther. I always thought his suit was cool, but never had the chance to actually read one. My buddy Ryder is telling me I need to read the Christopher Priest run, but those are a little harder to find for as cheap as I want to find them for. But I figured if I find Black Panther books that are super cheap and the art looks good on the cover, it's just maybe a particular volume that appeals to me more, then I'll pick them up, but they're really cheap. But that's number 26 with the Fantastic Four. People don't know that Black Panther actually, his first appearance is in a Fantastic Four book. Can't remember the number off the top of my head, but he does show up in a Fantastic Four book at first. This is number 27, whipping it in the Fantasticar. Really like the design of the Fantasticar. It's so weird. It's just like a shoe. It's a flying shoe. And then number 28. I actually love this cover artist. He did the covers for the Marvel Zombies books. I think the first 2 volumes of Marvel Zombies he did the covers for. He just does, I don't know what appeals to me so much about that art style. And he takes usually iconic covers and zombifies them, but it just looks so clean. I really love, I don't even know if this is an homage to any other cover. And I got to meet him at, I think one of the fanboys, and he signed a poster or 2 for me. Just awesome artist. He was really nice. He's really cool. Love talking to him. But especially was going to pick these up for 90 cents with those covers on them. But that's number 28. And here we have number 29. This has to take place during the Marvel Zombies event because Black Panther has his little peg leg, which is it, I think Hank Pym is like slowly sawing off small pieces of Black Panther, who's not a zombie, one of the only human survivors left, and kind of feeding on him and keeping him alive. So he kind of has like a constant source, because if they go too long without eating, they kind of become more depraved. If they eat, they get their sanity back, and Hank tries to keep his sanity. And I'm pretty sure Black Panther escapes and takes a little zombie wasp and goes off for more adventures. I've not read past volume 1, but I do try to collect those, so maybe a review one day. I'm trying to expand the channel, but my camera's fucked up. Though I spent a lot of money on a camera, and then nothing is going through on the computer, so that's wonderful. Number 30, a cool zombie scroll cover. It doesn't even look like anyone but the scroll is zombified, but still a really cool cover. Love that art style. A little gruesome for some people, but I like it. And then Captain America, Volume 5, number 22, written by Ed Brubaker and art by Mike Perkins. I guess this takes place during the Civil War. I like Ed Brubaker's writing. I've only read his Iron Fist run, which I found very good. I really liked his Iron Fist run, Immortal Iron Fist run. And I've heard great things about the Cap run. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, this has been a pretty frequent find because I've been finding them for so cheap. For all these issues, I got them for 90 cents a piece. And I'm actually starting to get like a pretty sizable chunk collected for this volume, which is nice because, you know, it's actually an incredibly long series for the time it came out. I guess in the 2010s is when they started like rebooting stuff after like you maybe got like a 50 issue long series, and now you're lucky to get past like 20 or 30 issues, but this one went for quite a while. It does the weird thing where I think it starts off on like number 630 something, or like in the 600s, and then goes back to 1, but it's still the same run, which I guess you can say like Jed MacKay's Moon Knight run right now went for so long, and then it went to Vengeance of Moon Knight, and then now it's Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu, but it's the same creative team and it's the same story going through, so I don't know why you just wouldn't keep it at 1 volume. I guess that just gets readers' attention more, or new readers. But it kind of bugs me sometimes. But there's number 22. I've rambled long enough about how Marvel does that over and over. Number 23, cool Winter Soldier cover. Well, I don't know. It's not that cool considering that half the cover is just a red block. Marvel sometimes does these gimmicks, which I don't particularly think makes the covers look that great. Like, just make the whole thing the art. I don't understand why they do that. If it was the creator's choice, then that's one thing, but I don't know. I feel like that's an editorial thing. Maybe I'm wrong, though. And then 24. Again, that red block cover. I guess you either love it or you hate it. If the whole series was like that, I would go insane. That would look so disjointed. I don't know what the purpose of it is. I guess if it was like on a news rack, that is the majority of the art would peek through. So you have the title in the middle and then the artwork toward the top, but I don't know. As you're going to see with this next one, I think that any other way looks better than that. Next, we've got Captain Britain in the MI-13, number 6. This one is written by Paul Cornell, art by Bryan Hitch, which I'm just realizing that it is by Bryan Hitch. It's not, it doesn't say Hitch down there, so that could be wrong. Bryan Hitch does the art for Redcoat, which is Jeff Johns, who's a famous writer in the comic industry. He's done a lot of great runs. He does like the Geiger Unnamed Universe thing. It's like Junkyard Joe, Redcoat, and there's going to be several more characters. But Bryan Hitch does the art for Redcoat, and I think he did the art for Ultimates with Mark Miller as well, which is another series I'm trying to get my hands on. But this one, Captain Britain in the MI-13, I've been really trying to piece together for a while, and this was actually the last issue I needed. I'm almost positive. Yeah, okay. So the last issue I needed, and I read a few issues of this, and I think I'm kind of behind. I don't know if it's new reader friendly for Captain Britain fans or people who are interested in the character. I'm going to go back and try to read it again because it just really interests me how he's just a niche character and I like him, honestly. This is the first appearance, apparently, of Plakta, creator of the Mindless Ones. Mindless Ones are like these, I consider them to be like Doctor Strange villains. I don't know if that's necessarily right. They're just like your typical mindless monster. And I think they shoot lasers out of their eyes. I'm not sure what their deal is. I can picture what they look like in my head. But yeah, Captain Britain in the MI-13. I've heard good things about this run. Next, Captain Marvel, Volume 4, The Wizard Edition, number 0. Written by Peter David, who love his X-Factor run. I just finished it. I'm going to make a video now that I finished X-Factor Volume 3, just kind of reviewing it in its entirety. One of my favorite runs of all time. I just have mixed opinions on the end of the run. Like, literally, almost pitch perfect up until the end. I think there's some problems, but I won't spoil that. Peter David's a great writer. I read a few issues of this, like 1 through 2. I didn't really like it, but I've heard great things about it, so I find them for really cheap, so I'm gonna try to piece it together. If I don't, maybe I'll sell it or something. I don't know. I do like Guinness Veil. That is my favorite Captain Marvel design. I like the white hair and I like the galaxy skin look. I know he's the original Captain Marvel's son. The art behind this, by the way, is by Crisscross, and I paid 50 cents for this. I thought with it being a Wizard number 0, it'd be harder to find. Sometimes some of these Wizard number 0s are harder to find, some are easier. Never saw this one up until this point, and then I've been finding them all over the place since then. But for 50 cents, you can't beat it. Might as well pick it up. It's in great condition. Pretty cool cover, too. Next, super happy to find this. Doctor Strange, Volume 4, number 13. Really cool cover with Dormammu on it. And I think that's, her name is like Satana. And there's Nightmare on there too, Baron Mordo, and I don't know. Which, I should probably point them out. Dormammu, maybe Shumagorath, Satana, Nightmare, Baron Mordo, and whoever that is. Written by Jason Aaron, who I really like a lot of his stuff. I'm in between reading 3 different series by him right now. I've read up to like issue 6 of this Doctor Strange run, issue 8 of Wolverine and the X-Men, and like issue 2 of Thor, God of Thunder. And those 3 have been phenomenal. He's doing a Namor run right now, which is not my favorite. Namor's one of my favorite characters. It is not Jason Aaron's best work, I think. Regardless, I did meet him at Dragon Con, and he signed my Namor number 1, just because and he signed a few other comics for me as well. Really nice guy. We talked for just a second. I asked him for tips on how to get into the industry, because I'm wanting to write comics. I'm just a procrastinator, and I'm trying to get to where I write more and more, but I was asking him tips on that. The art on this is by Chris Bachalo, and I paid $1.75 for this, but it was worth it because it's one of the last 2 issues I need. And what I've read of this series, out of the 3 series that I named that I'm reading by him right now, this is by far my favorite. It is excellent. Chris Bachalo also, he does the art for most of the issues I've read for Wolverine and the X-Men, and I am really loving his art. Hard to describe. It's very cartoony, incredibly cartoony, but it's usually the style of art that I gravitate toward, and I am all for it. I think his artwork's great. I'm becoming a huge fan. Enough to where I'll probably, if I see his name on a comic that I don't even know much about, I'll probably grab it. Next, E for Extinction number 1. Shit. 1 second. Written by Chris Burnham. Art by Raymond Villalobos. The art I thought was, I don't know the artist that thought this was. I don't know their name, which is why I bought it thinking it was them. But the art appealed to me on the cover. Kind of like a weird, almost Frank Quietly Martin. It's not like Frank Quietly, besides like the sketchiness and the way the line work is, but more like a cartoonier version of Frank Quietly. And I looked on the inside, and the same artist does the interior. And so unfortunately, there's probably going to be a little cut there. My iPhone storage got full and stopped the video recording in the middle of me talking. So I'm not sure where exactly it left off. I've got a pretty good idea though. I was just saying that I like the art style, and I paid 20 cents for this book. Now I'm going to have to edit this video, which is unfortunate because I'm not that great at editing, and the one software that I use, putting these videos through iCloud and then waiting for that to happen is kind of a pain in the ass, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I'm able to do that, figure it out. I should be able to. Next, Elektra, Volume 3, Number 1, with a really cool cover, written by W. Hayden Blackman, art by Mike Del Mundo. I really like Elektra as a character. She's tied in pretty closely to the hand. I say I really like Elektra. I'm just collecting her because she appeals to me. I've got her first appearance from when I was a kid, and I got a good deal on it. And I just find her books for cheap most of the time. This being one of them. I got this for 75 cents. Might have said that already. But really cool cover and great find, in my opinion. Elektra number 1. Next, the Fantastic Four / Iron Man, Big in Japan, number 1. Written by Zeb Wells, art by Seth Fisher. The artwork in this book is super trippy. I was looking through it at one point when I bought these books, and I don't know how to feel about it per se, but just super interesting. The main reason I bought it is because I really like the Fantastic Four, and just them being in Japan. I love Japan and that culture in general, and just thought that would be really cool. It looks like they're fighting kaijus as well. I'm a huge kaiju buff, and seems like a cool pairing. So I had issue, I think, 4 of this that I found for cheap at one point. I got every issue that I needed around that, paid 75 cents. So, of course, if you can find the rest of them and kind of complete that run, why not? Number 2, King Kong looking monster, looking at him. Reminds me of Rampage Total Destruction on the GameCube, one of my favorite childhood games. If anyone has played that, please put in the comments that you have. Would love to share some nostalgia with people. And while you're at it, like and subscribe. But there's number 2. Number 3, love Samurai Iron Man. I think that's a really cool design. And I thought that all the different poses right here were all unique. And then if you look, it's kind of copy and paste. So not as cool, but still, I got to complete the series. Next, we have FF Volume 2, number 14. Written by Matt Fraction and Lee Allred, who is a brother of Mike Allred, who does the art in this book. So, and it looks like Laura Allred did the coloring. So you got 3 Allreds on one book, which is really interesting. Paid 20 cents for this. I've been finding these for really cheap too. Anything Mike Allred that I find for cheap, I'm going to get. Especially if it has anything to do with the Fantastic Four, which the team here is like Ant-Man, She-Hulk, She-Thing, and Medusa. And most of these characters, I don't know if Ant-Man have been part of the Fantastic Four before. But not your typical lineup for that team in particular. But still a really cool lineup, and was super happy to find this book for as cheap as I did. Next, we have The Incredible Hercules, number 116, written by Greg Pak and Fred Van Lente, art by Rafa Sandoval. Paid 75 cents for this book. We got Hercules fighting... Oh, what the hell is his name? He's an Eternal. Icarus. He's fighting Icarus on this cover. Got a John Romita Jr. cover. I'm not the biggest fan of John Romita Jr. Does look like this was released when Iron Man was about to come out, though. What a monumental moment in history this was taking place in. But I've actually been really liking the series. I've read the first maybe 5, 6 issues, and I'm really liking it, which is good because I've been finding them and collecting them for cheap, which is not a huge loss if I didn't like them, but I'm really enjoying them, so that's just another plus of it. And Greg Pak sticks around with the series for a while. It goes like from this for several issues to just Herc, and then he did like Herc Fallen Avenger, or Hercules Fallen Avenger, and I think another one. So I've been collecting these when I can. I'm eventually going to read them all, maybe put a review up. But really excited to find this. One of the last issues I needed as well. I'm so close to completing the series. And then next, we have Incredible Hulk number 348. All of these are going to be written by Peter David, which this is apparently one of the best runs of all time. I really like the Incredible Hulk. I really like the Philip Kennedy Johnson series going on right now. Read a little bit of Immortal Hulk, and I really like it. And as a kid, I read a few stories here and there of Hulk that I really enjoyed. But the Peter David one, along with Immortal Hulk, I've pretty consistently heard is some of the best. This one, Art 3 for 348, is done by Jeff Purves. Not a great last name to have. I could be mispronouncing that. If he ever stumbles upon this video and I called you a perv just then, I'm sorry. Number 366. And I don't know if I said this yet. I paid 75 cents for all of these. And really good deal. But a lot of these, I didn't realize till I was home. Someone just wrote $6.90. Maybe that's a Bible verse or something. It probably isn't, but what an awful thing to do. What a rotten human being you are for writing on this perfectly good comic. And I looked at these and was like, the condition for these is because they had several copies of a lot of these, and this was the best looking copy, not seeing that someone had written anything onto the comic. So imagine my surprise when I get home and find out that I should have gotten the other copy that maybe had 1 or 2 more spine ticks, but didn't have a freaking ink pen pressed to it. So that's a bummer, but still glad to, I need to calm down. 75 cents a piece. Not too much of a loss. And I get to, it fills in the collection. I get to read it. So I'm still happy that I found these. This issue is the first appearance of Riot Squad. No idea who they are. Maybe they have something to do with the leader, who is the villain on that cover, blasting Grey Hulk's toesies right there. But, yeah. Countdown to the leader is what it said on the cover. So you don't think I'm crazy just saying that. 378. Again, right here. Someone wrote on the cover. The most requested villain of all. Santa Claus. I doubt it's Santa Claus. He's got a crowbar in his hand, so if I had to guess, it's probably the Wrecker, because I don't think a random guy in a Santa Claus outfit is going to go toe-to-toe with the Hulk like that without being turned into mash. But a really fun cover. I think the red is very vibrant. I don't know, everything about the cover is just really working for me. I like it a lot. And a Christmas-themed issue. Maybe I've been thinking about getting a spinner rack, or maybe when I get more of these comic cabinet, I guess, that me, my dad, and my grandpa built. They pull out and there's comics in there, but there's like a clear slot to put comics in. When it gets around to holiday, I'll probably try to find more themed issues around that. But Hulk number 378. And then next, I'm pretty sure this is severely messed up, but I found another copy later on, which will be in another haul video. But this is the Incredible Hulk / Hercules Unleashed, number 1. Written by Peter David. It's the reason I got it. I don't know if it directly ties into the Peter David run. I looked online at what to read for the Peter David run, and it lists several things, including like the current, like not the current, but all the recent Maestro stuff and the recent Future Imperfect stuff and the old Future Imperfect stuff. And this is one of them. So had to pick it up. I got it for 90 cents. The art is by Mike Deodato Jr. And yeah, this is the one. It is completely warped in the back. And again, didn't realize after I bought it. If you're ever looking at comics, always a good idea to take them out of the bag and board and just inspect them a little more. If it's a really good price, who cares? Who cares? If it's 90 cents, who cares? It's fine. And I found another one that I spent another 90 cents on. So what a 90-cent loss. If I sell it for $1, I get 10 cents back. It's not a big deal. But if you have, like in this case or the previous Hulk issues, more than one copy to choose from, don't just go based off the cover in the bag. Take it out of the bag and look at the full comic, because it could be incredibly warped and you won't know it till you get home. Next, Infinity Crusade. Number 1. Really cool 90s gimmicky I don't know if it's holographic. It's just really shiny cover with a female Adam Warlock on there in the middle. Written by Jim Starlin, art by Ron Lim. I paid 75 cents for this. I've been loving the Jim Starlin Adam Warlock stuff that I've been reading lately. I read one of his Warlock, an older one. It was a lot harder to digest than Warlock in the Infinity Watch, which has been phenomenal so far. I've really liked Warlock in the Infinity Watch. This is the first appearance of Goddess, who I imagine is the girl on the cover there, the female Adam Warlock. So, really cool find. Like this cover a lot. Next, Infinity Entity. How fun. I did read this. It was alright. Also written by Jim Starlin, which I will now be getting all the Adam Warlock Jim Starlin stuff, and I even try to find more Jim Starlin stuff in general. The art on this is by Alan Davis and Mark Farmer. I paid 50 cents for this. I didn't realize Starlin's Infinity series, which is an Adam Warlock-centric kind of events that have taken place for a long time. I didn't realize it had entries this recently. So it was really cool to see a current Marvel comic with a digital edition available, written by Jim Starlin still. He's still got it, I think. Not as good as the other stuff I've read, but still really cool. I want to piece together the rest of that series. Next, Lethal Legion number 1. Written by Frank Thierry, art by Mateus Santoloco. The reason I bought this book? None. It is just a cool villain book. I see Mr. Hyde on there. I see the Grim Reaper. I see Absorbing Man. Maybe Black Priestess right there. And Grey Gargoyle, I believe, in the back. I love Marvel villains. That's really what it boils down to. And it was 20 cents. For 20 cents, if there's an inkling that you might think the book's cool, why not get it? You can read it and check it out. If you don't like it, sell it for more than 20 cents and you're fine. But still, pretty glad I found it. Well, I wasn't looking for it, but a cool find, I should say. What I am glad I found is Machine Man number 11. If you haven't figured out at this point, I love Machine Man, and I've been seeing his issues, and I was finally just like, you know what? It is worth paying more for these issues, because, I mean, you're still not going to find them for under $3 anywhere else. Speaking of which, I got this for $2.25. I got both of them. This is written by Marv Wolfman, who I believe did a Vigilante series, and I think he did a New Teen Titans series as well. So, some pretty good writing chops, and the art is by Steve Ditko, which blew my mind because the first few issues of this are the art's by Jack Kirby, one of the very first artists at Marvel to make an impact. He's an amazing, incredible artist, but Steve Ditko is the other half of that. Like, him and Jack Kirby are the two big artists of the 60s, besides like John Romita Sr., who came in later down the line. And there's some others I'm forgetting, but the big two are Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. And very interesting to see that the two artists on this Machine Man title were those two people. Steve Ditko also had a hand at creating several huge Marvel characters like Jack Kirby. In particular, he is the co-creator of both Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. So, really cool to see that he had a part in Machine Man. And really cool covers, really cool art in general. That was number 11. And I also got number 12. Looks like he's fighting 5 Johnny Storms, or he's on an acid trip, either or. I actually have no idea what could possibly be it looks like they're part of the building. There's not really much. There's depth. There's not much depth to this cover, honestly. The more I look at it, it's kind of hard to comprehend what is actually going on there. But it's Machine Man. I'm definitely going to read it. Love Machine Man. Next, we have Maestro, World War M, number 5, written by Peter David. Like I was saying earlier, the recent Maestro stuff was also written by Peter David. Art by Sebastian Cabrol. I paid 20 cents for this. It's the final miniseries for Peter David's Maestro trilogy, which Maestro is just an evil Hulk from the future. He killed all the superheroes. The original series is a 2-part miniseries in the 90s called Future Imperfect that had art by George Perez, who I'm beginning to really like. And evil Hulk kills all the heroes on Earth and becomes the leader of Earth, basically. So, cool concept. I heard it's a classic. Can't find this for cheap, though, and I've not found the want to pay for that yet. I know it'll eventually come, but as of right now, I'll collect what I can for really cheap. Next, another character I adore. I really, really, really love Man-Thing. And this is Man-Thing Volume 2. With a really interesting cover, a lot of text. I ain't going to read all that shit, but I will read what's on the inside. Man-Thing's apparently fighting, from what it looks like, Satan. This is written by Chris Claremont, who, if you don't know who that is considered one of the most prolific writers of all time. He did, my mind's blanking on anything but this one, so this will be your only example, but trust me, he is a huge deal in the comic writing world. He did Uncanny X-Men. He has arguably one of the top 5 comic books of all time by most people. You'll see Uncanny X-Men in there. You'll see maybe Walt Simonson's Thor. You'll see Watchmen. Jeff Smith's Bone. It's up there. So he's definitely Alan Moore Swamp Thing, Neil Gaiman's Sandman. I could go on, but really cool to know that he wrote a little bit of Man-Thing. I don't know how many issues he wrote of this, but really cool. Art by Val Merrick. I paid $1.50 for this because it's a character worth paying over 90 cents for. He is just one of the most underused, underrated Marvel characters with a ton of potential. He was in the Werewolf by Night little TV thing that they did on Disney Plus. I loved how they made him look in that. Really awesome. So, yeah, really happy to find that Man-Thing issue. Next, Mighty Thor number 459. Written by Tom DeFalco, art by Ron Frenz. I paid 90 cents for this, and the reason I got it, because at Dragon Con I got the same book for maybe like $3, and it's worth $15. So, obviously, I had to get it. This is where Eric Masterson becomes Thunderstrike, so I guess you could call that the first appearance of Thunderstrike, but that would be too easy, and Key Collector makes some things really hard on collectors to figure out the key for something. But Thunderstrike, kind of I don't know, he seems like a 90s gimmick character, but people do like him, and I'm willing to give him a chance. I have Thunderstrike number like 1 through 3 of his series. Maybe I'll read that at some point. I do have a soft spot for 90s stuff. Wasn't born for that time, but when I first started collecting comics, it's a lot of 90s stuff, a lot of Darkhawk, a lot of Sleepwalker. So I do love the vibe of 90s comics for the most part. Not always the writing, but the vibe is there. Next. New Avengers Illuminati Volume 2, written by Brian Michael Bendis, who's a great writer. Pretty sure he did Ultimate Spider-Man. Could be so wrong on that. Oh, also written by Brian Reed. Art by Jim Chung. I already have this issue, so I won't spend too much time on this. I paid 50 cents for it, and the Illuminati is a cool team with a great roster. Imagine a team full of pieces of shit, and you have the Illuminati. Very self-centered, self-absorbed team that are responsible for the events of World War Hulk and Planet Hulk. So, for the smartest people on Earth, they don't make good decisions all the time, is all I'll say. Next, we have some Punisher issues from Volume 7, I believe. Yep, Volume 7. Written by Garth Ennis, who is the creator and writer of The Boys. Not a big fan of Ennis's work, for the most part, or what I've read of it. He had a Punisher in Vietnam story called Born that I collected all of, and I read. It was all right. I liked it. The ending was depressing as fuck. And I've heard to expect that from Garth Ennis, so, whatever. But I heard the Punisher run's really good. I've read a little bit of this run, like the first issue or two, and that's as far as I go. Even though I'm collecting them, some of the dialogue in that is just god-awful. I hate to say that. Garth Ennis notoriously hates superheroes, so he shines on books like The Boys or The Punisher or Nick Fury. He's been known to do superhero stuff before, but he has outwardly said that he hates superheroes. But it's apparently, to most, this is the best Punisher run. So, I love Jason Aaron's run. That, to me, is the best that I've read so far. But I'm willing to give Garth Ennis' run a shot. He did the Marvel Knights one too, and I've heard great things about it as well. But if I'm going to read a Punisher run, I want the down and dirty. I don't want censored. I want F-bombs. I want gore. I want the whole works. And the Max series allowed that at the time. And I paid 90 cents each for these. I don't know if I said that. The art by that one is by Goran Parlov, which I also probably already said, but oh well. Number 50. I actually do really like that cover. It looks very scary. If I walked into a room and saw that, I would shit my pants. That art on this book is by Howard Chaykin, which I have seen that name before. Maybe one day I'll connect art to the name. But next, we got Thor Core, number 3. Written by Tom DeFalco. Art by Pat Olaf. I paid $1.25 for this one because it is the last issue that I need of Thor Core. It was a 4-issue little run. It apparently looks like an insane amount of weird-ass characters are in this. The Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man 2099, Kid Colt, and the Rawhide Kid. 2 of those are cowboys. So I'm sure you can guess, but I mean, I know you can guess. Two are a lot more popular than the other two. The ones that aren't popular are the Cowboys. But Thor Core, I've been collecting because it has Beta Ray Bill as a member. I'm pretty sure it's like Thunderstrike, Thor, Beta Ray Bill, and someone else who's had the Thor mantle at some point, or Thor adjacent. So anything with Beta Ray Bill in it, or has a Beta Ray Bill story involved, I'm going to get. And since it was the last issue that I needed, I was pretty excited to find this. So Thor Core number 3. Great find. Next, The Ultimates from Volume 1, number 10. I paid 50 cents for these. This is written by Mark Miller, art by Bryan Hitch. I forgot that these were in this haul, and I mentioned how Bryan Hitch did the art for this earlier. And I already talked about how Ryder recommended it to me, so I have all the checks marked. I've heard it's phenomenal. I just watched a video. I can't remember his name. He does comic calls on YouTube as well. He's looking through this list of top 100 comics of all time, and The Ultimates was pretty high up there, and he agreed with the placement. So definitely interested to check it out. I also got number 11. Cap's bulge just front and center on that one. Possibly one of the most American images I've ever seen. Is there a stain on that book? Yeah, it's on the actual book, though. It's not on the outside. Okay. I know this run inspired, like, the looks for a lot of the costume designs for the MCU, so another cool little fact for you. Now we have The Ultimates Volume 3, which is the original volume that I was collecting of the Ultimates. The current Ultimates run's also freaking phenomenal. This is the one I'd started with originally, though, because it's art by Asad Ribic and written by Jonathan Hickman. I love that creative team. They've done several things together. They're doing an Aliens vs. Avengers run right now, or a little mini-series. It's phenomenal. And they did Secret Wars together, and I'm sure there's more that they've done together. Great creative team. They work well together. I paid 20 cents for this, and I've had every issue but one, so this is the last one I needed, at least with Hickman and Ribic involved. I thought this was a reprint, so I almost didn't pick it up. And then I couldn't find anything about it, so I picked it up anyway. The reason I thought that, due to there was not a barcode on this thing whatsoever. Front, back, whatever. And if you look, the way you can tell how something is a first print, if you ever want to know, this is going to be a bad example. I'll use a different one. So this is number 10. You can see it right there. Sorry for the off angle. If you look at the barcode, it says 10, which will always be the issue number. If you look at anything else, if it was issue 26, it would say 26 right there. And it goes 1-1. If it is double ones after that, you have cover A, first print. So that helps a lot, by the way. If you're a comic collector and you don't know that, that will help you identify so many cover A's if you're very particular about it like I am. But this didn't have one on any part of the book whatsoever, and it drove me crazy. And then I did some more research, and I realized that this was the right one, and this book was polybagged originally, and it was obviously open, which is good for me because I can read it, and otherwise I wouldn't have any idea what it was. The original polybag, which is kind of like just a gimmick thing they do sometimes, was polybag, if you don't know, is like a thin wrapper of plastic around it. And it was just a white cover with a shield on it, with this underneath. So, glad I figured out that I did have the right issue on my hands. And glad to find that. Was super excited to find that, actually. Next, Ultimate Fantastic Four, number 26. Written by Mark Miller, art by Greg Land. I paid 20 cents for all of these. Another writer recommendation. This series is pretty cool because it introduced the Maker, who is an evil version of Mr. Fantastic. His skin is actually available on Marvel Rivals the second that he was leaked. Mr. Fantastic was, and it showed the Maker skin along with it. I immediately bought it, and I bought the Malice skin. Don't call me a gooner for having the Malice skin. It is character-based, and I bought it purely off of that. But Ultimate Fantastic Four, love seeing Ultimate Namor. He looks pretty cool. And I like the Fantastic Four. So, and I like the Ultimate Universe. I like everything. Always, forever. This is number 28. Looks like Ultimate Super Skrull, which if you don't know, if you want to call a character from the Ultimate Universe something, just put Ultimate in front of their name. Makes you seem like you know what you're talking about. Ultimate Fantastic Four, number 28. What else do we have here? Number 29. Reed getting his shit stretched in. Or out, I should say, by Super Skrull. Didn't know until I read a Marvel Zombies book of all things that Super Skrull is like an Omega level threat. He is apparently super powerful, which I guess you'd have to be if you had all the Fantastic Four's powers. They're all kind of broken. Next, Warlock Volume 3, number 1. Written by Louise Simonson. I have no idea she's related to, or he or she is related to Walt Simonson. Art by Pascal Ferry. I paid 20 cents for this, so it was worth it. I have no idea if the series is based on Adam Warlock, which is the reason I bought it, for being related to Adam Warlock. But it also could be the New Mutants Warlock, which it looks more like that. But it's also the Marvel Tech thing, which was this... I won't call it stupid. I've not read any of the titles. But it was just a thing they did. It was like Marvel Knights or Max. But it was Marvel Tech, and they did tech variants of stuff. And most of it does not look good. But I can't tell which character that is supposed to be. Finally, for the Marvel stuff, I know this is going to be a long video because we still got quite a bit more to go. 4, as in Fantastic Four, written by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. What a mouthful. Art by Steve McNiven. I don't know if this is the series that people have dogged on before. It could be. Either way, I found them for cheap. They might be good. Part of the Marvel Knights imprint, so could be good. Now, moving on to DC. Got American Vampire, number 3? Yeah, number 3. Written by Scott Snyder and Stephen King. Wrap your head around that one. Scott Snyder, I love his work. He's done some great stuff. I don't think I found anything of his that he's wrote that I haven't liked. His Absolute Batman was really good. He had a series called We Have Demons, which I really enjoyed. And you'll see this later on. Again, another spoiler warning, but I've heard Noctera is really good. Wasn't on the boat for that one when it first came out. Wish I was, because number 1's like $15 now, but it's whatever. Art by Raphael Albuquerque. Oh, and I shouldn't just run past Stephen King. If you don't know who Stephen King is, yes you do. He wrote It, he wrote Cujo, he wrote Stand By Me, I'm pretty sure. He's a prolific horror writer, and sometimes he doesn't write horror. I think he wrote Shawshank Redemption as well. I could be so wrong on that, but American Vampire number 3. Looks really interesting. Next, Fables, number 60. Written by Bill Willingham. Art by Mark Buckingham. A couple of hams. Paid 20 cents for each of these. I've just heard phenomenal things about this series. The name implies it, but if you don't know, it's a more adult version of classic fairy tale characters. Pretty cool. It's number 60. And number 66. Really cool cover on that one. I love the colors and everything about it. Yeah, super cool. Super neat. Super. Next, Green Lantern Volume 4, number 24. Written by Geoff Johns, one of my favorite writers at the moment. I really love his stuff. His Unnamed Universe, again, is amazing. But I really liked his Green Lantern stuff as a kid. Read it completely out of order and had no idea what it was talking about or what was going on. But I thought all the colors and the designs and everything were super cool. The art in this particular issue is by Yvonne Reese. And I paid 20 cents for each of these. And, you know, since they're a childhood favorite, I've been finding them for cheap. Collect them. I have most of his very short run on the New 52 Green Lantern, which is Volume 5. But Volume 4 is like the main one I'm trying to collect. Green Lantern Volume 4 and Green Lantern Corps Volume 2. Main two I want to get right now. I think Green Lantern has the potential to be my favorite DC character. Trying to get into DC in general. Then again, Wonder Woman is taking a pretty strong hold on me because of Absolute Wonder Woman and what little I've read of George Perez's Wonder Woman. Here is number 41. Art by Philip Tan and Eddie Barrows. Cool Larfleeze cover on there. Larfleeze is the Orange Lantern who centers around greed. I'm pretty sure he's a one-man Lantern Corps. One of my favorite, if not my favorite of all the Lanterns in general. I don't know, that's a controversial take. I just really like Larfleeze. He's kind of a piece of shit, but he's such a cool character in my opinion. Next, Green Lantern Corps, Volume 2, number 18. Written by Peter Tomasi, and the art in this issue is by Patrick Gleason and Jamal Igle. And I paid 50 cents for the 2 issues you're about to see. Superman getting touched by what looks like to be Ion from... Or no, maybe... It's DC, guys. I do not know who is who. One is apparently Ion, and one is apparently Superman Prime. I would guess that's Superman Prime, but honest to God, I have no idea. Again, another series I'd really like to collect. I like the idea of learning about all the Green Lanterns instead of just, you know, the main John Stewart. Or I think Hal Jordan is the main one from he's the one that is Volume 4 centered around. I want to know more about Kyle Rayner. I want to know about Guy Gardner. I want to know more about John Stewart. So, I think I can get that through this. Number 18. The Green Lantern Corps. And then number 20. The art on this one is by, again, Patrick Gleason, but also Carlos Magno. And this involves Mongul, who I watched a video kind of explaining what his deal is. And I have forgotten, and I can't explain it to you in particular, but he seemed really cool. It kind of looks like a little too much like Darkseid. Maybe it's just this cover. Either way, cool to find this issue for 20 cents or 50 cents. Speaking of 20 cent books, or I guess 25 cents is how much I paid for it. Green Lantern Corps Recharge, number 3, with an ugly Guy Gardner on it. But when is he not ugly? But he's particularly frightening right there. And Kyle Rayner behind him. This one's written by Geoff Johns and Dave Gibbons. I've seen Dave Gibbons' name a lot on other Green Lantern books, and Geoff Johns, I didn't even realize he wrote this one. So, super cool. Art by Patrick Gleason. yet again, who was the artist on the Green Lantern Corps Volume 2 that we just mentioned. And got it for really cheap. Honestly, almost didn't get it, but I saw John's, maybe, well, I don't even think I saw John's on there, but it was 25 cents, so I decided to buy it. Next, okay, guys, we're going to fly through these next few because I got so many of them. There was a Strange Brain Parts video on this. I love his channel, and he puts me onto so many things. I would never have started trying to collect Grimace, or no, Grimjack, not Grimace from McDonald's, Grimjack, and or several other things, this being one of them. Love and Rockets I wouldn't have tried to collect if it weren't for him. But Justice League America, more specifically, all the Justice League stuff that Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis is. If you want to know why I've not uploaded this video yet, is because this switches titles so much, and I got it based off the writers, because that is what the run is, I guess, primarily known for, because the art switches up so much that it's really daunting to go through all those artists. I decided not to. I couldn't be bothered. After a long day at work, I did not want to do that. So we're going to go through these rapid fire. I don't have much to comment on these characters. So besides that, like, Mr. Miracle is really cool and he's on that cover. And that Blue Beetle and a few others are really interesting. I think the roster is super interesting. And I want to see the panel of Batman clocking Guy Gardner in the nose. That's basically what I have to say. So, you know what? Let's just fly through these. If there's like a key in there, I will mention it. This is apparently the death of Steel. Steel is a Superman type character. Here we got number 51. Here we got number 52. I actually really enjoy that cover. Looks like a fighting card ring. I actually let that sit there for a second. That's really cool. Number 58. Got Lobos right there. And then it switches. They did so many at one time. They did like International, Europe, America, just Justice League. It's kind of crazy. This one's from the Europe one. Don't know many people from this team besides Animal Man. That could be Plastic Man, Metamorpho, Power Girl, and obviously the Flash, but I don't know if he sticks around. That's about all I know. This one's number 3. This one's number 4. This one's number 5. This one's number 8. I've heard this series is really funny, by the way. So that excited me. It made me think of it'd be kind of like X Factor. I could be wrong, though. This is number 9. This is number 10. I got all of these, by the way, for 20 cents. All of them. Not all together, but they were all 20 cents a piece, so I couldn't say no to it. Especially because I almost paid $1 for a lot of these at one point. Number 11. Number 12. Metamorpho grabbing some milk and cigarettes, it appears. I'll be right back, I'm sure. Number 14. Number 15. Which is apparently the first team appearance of the Extremists. He looks cool. I don't think any of the other ones look cool at all. Number 16. Number 17. DD on his shirt. Number 18. Skip a little bit ahead to 23, which is the origin of Crimson Fox. I have no idea who that is. I would guess it's that lovely lady right there. Number 24. Number 27. Number 28. Number 31. Number 34. And finally, international, number 22. Don't know who that guy is either. Next, Suicide Squad, number 3. I thought it would have to be from like a volume 2 or something, but this is apparently volume 1 of Suicide Squad. Written by John Ostrander and art by Luke McDonnell. I paid 20 cents each for these. I've heard quite a lot of good stuff about this creative team's Suicide Squad run. So finding them for so cheap, I decided that it was definitely worth checking out. And then I got number 5. Got the Penguin and not Deathstroke. I can't remember his name. Deadshot. Who did Will Smith play? Will someone tell me in the comments? I can't remember. Number 6. There's a better look at the character who I'm talking about. I cannot think of his name. And number 7. No keys in this, the issues that I got, but that's okay. Still heard great things about it, so. This guy's costume design is really strange, by the way. I just want to point that out as well. Next, Wonder Woman Volume 2. Was super excited. So again, my iCloud storage got full again, so that was great. Here we have Wonder Woman Volume 2. Written by Len Wein, art by, Wayne. Art by George Perez. I paid $1.75 for this, and I will pay that much continuing from now because I'm really wanting to collect this. Absolute Wonder Woman is fantastic. I'm beginning to really like the character that I never thought I would like from DC. I'm starting to understand the hype a little bit. Really excited to find this. George Perez also now understand the hype behind his art. It's incredible. And was over the moon to find this, and I just went to McKay's again yesterday, the one locally, and I found another George Perez Wonder Woman comic. So spoiler for that, but that's coming soon. Then, Y the Last Man, number 43, written by Brian K. Vaughan, art by Pia Guerra. Paid 20 cents for this. I've heard fantastic things about this. Like Brian K. Vaughan a lot as a writer. And, yeah. I heard it got turned into a TV show, but it didn't do that well. So, I hope the comic's a lot better. And then, speaking of Nocterra from earlier, Nocterra, number 6. Written by Scott Snyder, art by Tony Daniel. I paid $20, not $20, Jesus. I paid 20 cents for this issue and the next 2. I know I'm somewhat familiar with the concept of this. I don't know why it didn't appeal to me more when it came out. Number 8. Number 9. Then the next few I paid 50 cents for. Number 10. Number 11. And then the Val special. I'm not sure if Val is her name or it's short for Valentine's. But they're wearing Christmas lights, so I doubt it's the latter. Like the dog, though. Dog is wrapped in Christmas lights, looking vicious. Amazing. And then finally, the last comic of the haul, guys. I know it's been a long video. Savage Dragon number 14. Written and drawn by Erik Larsen. One of the original founders of Image. Cool character. I read quite a bit of this, and when I find issues I don't have now, I grab them. There's some really niche issues later in the run that are worth a lot, because the print run gets lower, and hopefully I stumble upon one of those one day. But there's a lot of issues to catch up on Savage Dragon, so, and I heard they get a lot harder to find later on down the line, but I've got my eyes open. And that'll do it for today, guys. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.